Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to my legacy house where everything starts at home. We're just waiting for people to enter the chat so that we can get this party started. Hey, Lorenzo. Right on time. Hey, everybody. Coming in. Waiting for Lorenzo to pop in. I just requested him, so hopefully. Hey, Lorenzo.
Hey,
What's going
hey,
on?
it's Monday, girl, and it's raining out here. Is it raining out there?
Uh,
Or, I'm sorry, have you
no.
been in the house all day?
I've been in the house all day. Getting ready for tonight.
Good, good,
But then
good.
the football game was delayed because of thunder or lightning.
Lightning. hmm
How excited are you, Lorenzo?
I am very excited. Girl, you should have saw me actually driving home, girl. I was driving home code 3 because I'm like, damn, it is almost 6:50. Let me hurry up, girl. I'm up here playing.
Ooh,
I
you
got
should be
Captain
sweating right about
Brandon.
now.
I am sweating. Oh, you just
hmm
can't see it. Look.
Well, at least your camera's clean this time.
I know, I
I'm
know.
just letting everybody know that we're live right now. I just want to make sure everybody can see us and whatnot, so that they cannot have any excuses. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So Lorenzo, how was your, I'm gonna say it because there was a week before there was a weekend. So how was your week? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. Just chilled and relaxed. My week was good. It
Okay.
was very productive.
Okay.
Very productive, and even more exciting after we had our little lunch meeting last week that lasted about 3 hours. But it was an amazing lunch meeting.
I
But
thought
after
so
that,
too.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been in just pumped ever since.
Oh, that's
Pumped,
good.
and
I
I'm
thought you were
looking
gonna say something
forward.
like negative.
No,
Okay.
no, no, it's all positive, babe. All
Oh,
positive
that's
vibes here.
good. I'm very excited. Listen, we are officially launching our life skills um, programs. All of our mentees have been notified and assigned their mentors.
Nice,
I'm so
nice.
I'm so excited to get started, for everybody to like settle in and really like start talking about what it is they need or what they're feeling, because we all
Absolutely.
feeling stuff.
Right, right.
And I'm
Absolutely.
excited for today because we're going to be jumping in with problem solving.
Solving. That's right.
Yep, problem
There you
solving.
go.
It's
Problem
I think
solving.
it's not, I won't say it's a lost art, but I will say that it's like, oh, we've got some of our enrollees. Hi AJ. I will say that it is very much it is a perishable skill. I won't say it's a lost
Absolutely.
art, but it's a perishable skill. And I think that we don't think enough about the process of problem solving
Not at all.
and the different types of problem solving. So I'm excited to get into that with our mentors. Tonight we have Veronica, we have Trevor, and we have Joanie.
Oh, look at that. The
Yeah.
A team. All right, that's what's up.
The whole team
Wow.
is the 18.
Well, the whole team is the A team, but
Right.
goddamn.
The whole team is the
Wow,
A
problems.
team.
Okay, I'm excited. Wow, problem solving. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about the different types of problem solving. We're going to be talking about the process of problem solving. We definitely are. So let me ask you, because I want to stay true to form with how we run our business over here. I want you to tell me something today that you were proud of, or that happened this week that you were proud over that was positive.
Um, Meeting with you guys.
Okay.
I think we all kind of had a visual of what to expect in our meeting last Wednesday, but I think by the time we concluded our meeting, I think we all walked away with like, holy smoke. I mean, honestly, just your expression alone was like, but walking away with the various deliverables, that we set out to do, and we're looking forward to accomplishing those by tomorrow, Wednesday. Um, that was very warm and very welcoming for me. And I'll be honest with you, as much as I am a technology guy and I love technology, I feel more effective in person. I mean, Zoom can be what it is, but for whatever reason, when you are in an in-person farm, you're able to like really kind of go off skip for a second. You
Mm-hmm.
guys can like really do just a lot more brainstorming in
Yeah.
person. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like online education. Like me, I don't like online education. I don't promote online education.
Okay.
I would rather be in class with my professors, even if it's 3 or 4 days a week. But that's just me.
Everybody's
Um,
different. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, at the
Okay.
conclusion of our meeting last week, it was it was even more warming, for me to appreciate you guys and all of our mentors and our mentees. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to, not only meeting everybody, but also, really, hoping to be here, to add value for everybody and
Well, that's,
support them,
I love
especially
that.
with our mentees.
Okay, great. So now let me flip it on you. What did you identify that you could improve upon this week?
I'm a better listener and a much better communicator.
Okay.
It's because I think we all, tend to think about a lot of things, but we don't voice it. We don't share it. We just think about it. Oh, okay, whatever. Like I'll give you a prime example. Um, it bothered me that I hadn't checked my email in the last hour when I am an email junkie, but I had not checked my email in the last hour.
Okay.
So that's something that I need to work on. I've gotten better with my text messages, my group threads. Now this is something that I just have to step up my A game.
Okay. Fair
So
is fair.
that's another goal for me.
Fair is fair. I'll say something positive that happened was so for the people that were not in the room, we had a meeting with myself and Lorenzo and our executive administrator and our chief marketing officer, and we laid out a whole plan for our continued rollout of My Legacy House and all its programs. And it was very, very effective. Now, I will say that that is the positive thing that happened that I'm proud of because we've been building this thing from the ground up. And to see that conversation take place and that we had tangible things that we had to do, that was amazing to me. What I can improve upon is relinquishing some of the tasks because it's like my baby. My legacy house is like my baby, and it's like I'm not about to let my baby go to anybody, but I have to be able to trust the people that we have in place to get this thing rolling and
Amen.
and get this thing growing. So I'm excited. We're gonna get this party started with our first life skills um, course, not course, it's not a course, but this life skill episode or
Form,
live, huh?
form,
Forum.
form.
There you go. Life skills forum. We're going to jump into problem solving. So Lorenzo, I'm going to have you pop out and pop into the chat, and I'm going to get our mentors loaded up here.
All right, all right. Thank you. And I'm looking forward. Hey,
Okay.
congratulations, everybody.
Awesome, awesome. Aranda says, I love the poster on the back. You see it? You see it? You see, we got shirts, we got posters, we got vice cards. Okay, so I'm gonna start getting everybody in. So welcome everybody. Welcome to My Legacy House, where everything starts at home. We are talking about, this is our first night of our life skills program that is in conjunction with our Whole Warriors and our Quality Queens initiative in terms of our e-mentorship and life skills. So hi, Veronica.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just waiting. We're waiting on a couple more. We're waiting on Trevor, and we're waiting on Joanie. Let me make sure. Where are you, Joanie girl? There you are. There you are. And then Trevor's in here too, I know. Raina says, hey, Veronica.
Hey,
I know I
Raina.
saw Trevor in here.
Love you.
There we go. All right. Oh, hey, Joanie. Okay, lipstick. Okay, hair.
Tried to give you a little razzle dazzle.
You did, and you did it well. What's up, Trevor?
Ooh, what's poppin'?
You know what we got? We got a lot of our mentors in here. We got a good number of our mentors in the chat. Hi, Frank. He says happy Monday to everyone. So we're gonna jump into it. So let me just go ahead. Veronica, you were in the chat first. So I'm gonna ask you, how was your week or weekend? And what happened that was positive, I'll say?
You know, positive thing that can always spend time with your family. And it doesn't have to be people who have blood family, but your family. And just being with my children. I have 3 children. I have a husband, and being with my family and my extended family, I just love it because I see so much positivity. I learn something new every day, or not.
That's awesome. That means you're alive. So what now? So then what have you, can you look back and identify that you can improve upon?
I look back sometimes and I think, what can I learn today? And one thing I can learn is about problem solving. How do you really jump into learning if it's a good problem or a bad problem? Because those are two different things.
Okay.
And knowing when you're able to give information or if you receive information.
Okay.
So that's what I look back on.
Okay. All right, Trevor, we're going to go with you. What happened this week for you that was positive or that you're proud of?
I got my first mentee, so I'm excited.
Ah,
You know,
Hey.
I'm definitely excited to teach him and learn from him as well. So I'm definitely excited to see what this program offers and what I can offer to him.
awesome. And then something that you can improve upon?
I would say spreading myself thin. I tend to take on too many projects, so I gotta, slow it down and then focus on one at a time so I
Okay.
can get that completed.
Fair is fair. Fair is fair. Joanie, same questions. What happened this week that you're proud of or that was positive?
So this week, if I could take a minute to reflect, I'd have to say vulnerable communication is something that I'm very proud of.
Okay.
A lot of times, you try to be a peacemaker, or, I'm so politically correct to a point. But sometimes you have to get brutally honest to get on the other side of things. So this week has been, all right, let me not, give you a little fluff. Let me give you some very direct, loving and instruction and just work through it, not, pass it. So I'm very proud of that because I was able to kind of eliminate a challenge. So I'm kind of happy.
Okay. I'm proud of you then for that. That's congratulations for that. And something you can improve upon?
Something I can improve upon really is R&R, little relaxation, a little rest.
There we go.
Well, I think that's everyone's kind of thing, especially with, so many hats that we have. So just, paying attention to that piece and understanding qualitative rest and relaxation, because we can't add a couple hours to our days, but what we have to really just make sure, like, we're hydrating, we're getting those little power naps and eating as best as possible. So, yeah.
Perfect. I think all of that is great advice and great lessons and great things that we can like take on as challenges. So I'll say just real quick, because this is all family in here, so we read comments in here. So Raina says preach, Kim says hey mentors, and Tess says that part, qualitative rest. Absolutely, I completely agree. And in the chat room, if you guys want to share this particular live, we're going to be on here talking about some good meaty things and or vegetable things if we're plant-based. Everybody's welcome here. So today we are talking about problems. We're going to be talking about identifying the 4 types of problem-solving skills, and then we're going to dive into the actual process of solving our everyday issues and the larger issues that don't necessarily happen every day. I'm a huge proponent of the idea or the phrase, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so if you can solve small issues, you can definitely tackle the larger ones. So now, problems, everybody has them. So in the chat, I want you guys to kind of type in or comment what kind of problems you guys typically have. And I'm going to ask the mentors. I'm going to start with you, Joanie. What kind of problems, or anybody, we can just talk. So anybody, what kind of problems, just like say them out. Like what kind of problems do we typically have?
I would say some people, money problems is a big one for a lot of people.
I would say managing your expectations, because a lot of people think it's about the problem or the challenge,
Mm-hmm.
but really it's managing what you want the outcome to be like and how you're processing whatever that challenge may be.
Okay.
I would like to say relationship. Raina just popped it in, relationship challenges. And it doesn't have to be anyone that you're physically or intimately involved with. It's just relationships lifelong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see that Yolanda says not being heard by professionals. So by your probably in your professional life, not being heard. And we'll take it a step further, not being heard in our personal lives too, right? So yeah, we have all these different problems. Let me see. Oh, somebody else says, Honey Child says, starting crucial conversations. Oof. And that's because we don't want to be uncomfortable, right? We don't want to be uncomfortable. And so we kind of like, oof, let me just not go in here because I don't know what's going to come out. So that's definitely a big one. Thank you so much, Honey Child. That is definitely a problem. That is definitely a problem that I think a lot of people have. I'm just waiting a little bit for people to be able to comment if they want to. But yeah, we typically have money, relationships, communication, health problems. It runs the gamut. It literally runs the gamut. And so I think that it's important that we think about or slow our minds down from the everyday chaos and think about how we actually solve those problems, how we go about solving them. So how do you solve problems, Trevor? How do you go about solving problems?
Ooh. Depending on what problem I have and how deep it extends, I first start off with identifying the problem. And I generate solutions in my head. I'm always trying to basically evaluate alternatives. Um, then I try to decide on a solution, implement the solution, and try to evaluate the outcomes and do it.
I love the process. I love the process. We've got a couple more comments about not being able to say no being a problem. Sometimes conversations with self is a problem. Hi, Presley. Welcome. Honey Child says time management. And then Liz says creating a safe space to communicate with parents and siblings about conflicts and feelings. Absolutely. These are all problems that people fall into, one way or another. And I think it's important that we identify those. And Trevor, I think that your process is actually very, very logical. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think that it's great if we can break things down into parts and tackle them that way. So there are 4 types of problem solving, if you guys didn't know. There is practical thinking. Oh, Raina says financial management. Absolutely. Money problems and managing your money. But the 4 types of problem solving fall under practical thinking, intuitive reaction thinking, and logical thinking and social sensitive thinking. And I know that sounds like a whole mouthful of things, right? But I want to break them down so that we can actually see that we all kind of fall into 1 or 4 of the problem solving methods. So without knowing the actual definition, what do you guys think you gravitate towards in terms of problem solving? Practical, logical, intuitive, or social in terms of problem solving? Anybody?
Can I be a mix? I feel like I'm a
Right?
buffet thinker. You know what I mean? Not a buffet, I'm a buffet.
I'm
Not a
hybrid.
buffet.
It depends on where I'm at. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm intuitive by nature. But then logical. If I'm, dealing with work, it's very logical. If it's with family and friends, it's very practical, mixed in with intuitive, mixed in with social, because I know, where they're at. I kind of know, the mood. I've read the room. So I think I'm a little bit of all contingent upon the environment.
Okay. I want to know what the people in the chat room think too. Like, you guys start putting in the comments what kind of problem solver you think. Practical, logical, intuitive, or social. And you guys have anything? Trevor? Veronica?
I think I'm a mix, just like she said, depending on how you read the room. But if we had to play it down, I think I'm a mixture of practical and logical.
Okay.
Step by step with a lot of things. So.
All right. We have a test in here that says it's logical for her. She breaks down the situation and works towards a solution.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. I think I'm that way too, sort of. Veronica, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, when you look at all four types, and I'm gonna have to mimic off of Joe Trevor, it depends on what setting you're in because they all start to play a different tune, if that's the correct word, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can be in a crucial setting, but I revert to my logical sense and say what I really wanted to say and how I wanted to act is not appropriate for this form. So we can have all four of them in the back of our mind, but in a certain step, you have to know where you are in a certain arena, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just
Mm-hmm.
I'm off my brother and sister. Sorry.
No, but that's how we problem solve. It's teamwork. Liz says she's intuitive, and she continues by saying she thinks people know deep down what to do, and sometimes we don't want to listen to ourselves, and that's huge. That's huge. Yolanda says she's a mix of all, but she would probably go with practical and logical, and I could totally see that based on Yolanda's personality. So yeah, so then let me see. Trevor, in your own words, describe for me, because we're going to jump into what these different thinking patterns are. Describe for me what you think practical problem solving entails.
Practical. I think it's just literally considering ways to basically adapt to your environment, so that it changes to basically fit you. You're able to pursue a goal, and then just like I said, generate different alternatives to it. And it can sometimes be deferred. I mean, you can have common sense. It could be street smarts, um, but ultimately, it's literally evaluating the outcome for me, at least.
Okay. Now in the chat, we still have people who are commenting and contributing. And Doses of Kara says she agrees with what with Liz and Tess were saying, because it can definitely be situational. Presleen says, I honestly don't know. I go based off emotion. Sometimes I know how I'm supposed to be, but based on emotions, it differs. And that is a huge thing, especially for women. Our emotions sometimes run the gamut. And so thank you for that contribution. Raina says, I'm always running through all possible outcomes and choosing the best one. No feelings involved, strictly logistics. Honey Child says, effective problem solvers have to know how to use them all. Yes. Ooh, you are in my curriculum, Honey Child. I love that. So basically, for practical thinking, people take in information, and the information is real and tangible. Basically, just the facts, ma'am, right? So it's specifics driven. It's what is happening right now and give me the details. That is what the practically thinking problem solvers, like, just the facts. Give me what is actually happening in real time, and then we can go from there. Now, the caveat, because there's caveats to everything, right, is that people with this dominant thinking type, they tend to miss out on recurring themes. And sometimes when you're moving along in life, you have to slow down and start to see where the patterns are, because then now you can anticipate what the issues may be when you start to see things that are lining up the same way. So, that's huge. Joanie, do you have any advice that you could give to somebody who was a practical thinking problem solver? Because we need all four, but if they were dominant in practical problem solving, what advice would you give to them?
Um, I would just give them to basically just pay attention and be open in this process of problem solving. Some
Mm-hmm.
things, can be a solution that aren't necessarily formula related, or that's not something that's practical to you may not be practical to someone else. So just keep yourself open to basic solutions. That's not
Okay.
the only way, is because it's practical is the
Mm-hmm.
best answer. Just keep yourself open.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think, Veronica, do you have any advice for Anybody who would think about who would be a practical problem solver but kind of lack in other areas?
Non-judgmental. Don't judge the situation based on words that are being said at that time.
Okay.
Look back at a certain time, it's not going to account for anything. And then you'll say, in that time, was I practical? Did I make the right decision? And in that moment, that is what you have. And then when you leave that moment, you'll go back and question yourself. So just non-judgmental thinking.
I love that. That's like trusting yourself, trusting the previous experiences that you've had as tools for future problem solving instances, right? So I like to say facts over feelings, but that's just in certain instances because you have other tools in your bag. So trust the process and pay attention to the elements that are coming through if you are a practically thinking problem solver. In the chat room, we have Kim says peer pressure and setting plays a huge role in problem solving. Absolutely. And Honeychild says sometimes the one you use, talking about the problem solving thinking type, the one you use is also based on how you are perceived too. She says that as an African-American woman, her intuition may not hold weight, so she has to justify and provide receipts. And that's usually an extra obstacle that we do have to hop through being women of color, people of color, period. So thank you for that, because that is something we don't really think about in terms of problem solving and being practical, having to go the extra mile to prove our practicality or the truth of it. I really like that. I'm just trying to see if we have any other people in the chat room saying anything. I don't want to miss, because this is a collaboration. These life skills, the idea behind life skills, this life skills program is that we're not teaching anybody anything. We're really asking just interesting questions that make us think, that dig in the cracks, and we bring out the answers because we've all been living life these, 18 to however some odd years. And so it's important that we have these communal discussions so that we can bring them out and think about things that we might not have thought about, or think about it in a way that we wouldn't have. So now some of you guys said you were intuitive reactive thinking. So Joanie, what do you think about that? What do you think intuitive reactive thinking entails?
Intuitive is what I think myself and a lot of people kind of have innately. And that's just a hunch. It's really a gut feeling. Like, if you do this, something's going to happen. How we say it don't feel right. You know what I mean? And I think that is very physiological responses, very body or very emotional, but it's an innate feeling. It's not based off of fact. It's not based off of research, but you just feel like something's right or something's wrong,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So I think, I don't know if you guys in the chat room experience this, but sometimes you don't wait to collect facts, right? Movement says, so that's Misha. She says, when you feel it in your spirit. Absolutely. That is absolutely an intuitive reactive problem solver in terms of their thinking. They look for quick solutions. You want to get it done because, okay, I feel like I want to go this way. Sometimes they may be an impulsive individual. And Kim asked a question. She says, Trevor, how does intuition measure for a man? He said,
I mean, for me personally, I like to approach things, problem solving logically. You follow a systematic approach. Johnny, like the scientific method for me, at least.
Okay, so basically, he's like, what intuition? What do I see, and what are the steps to follow it? But that is a good question, Kim. Raina says, good question, Kim. So I'll say that for the intuitive reactive thinker, it's going to be, they are looking at a bigger picture, really. What they're doing is they're taking into consideration their environment, how they feel about it. It's like a collaborative effort in their mind's eye on what the elements of a problem are. And so they're going off of what they feel in the moment once they have collected those series of intuitions, intuitive hunches. Definitely not collecting the facts. Now, Yolanda says we are beings of energy. So when that shifts and you have the intuition to feel it, accept it, and listen to it, it's definitely a way to get a quick fix for the problem at hand. Yes, in some instances, it's really, really helpful to be kind of intuitive, ergo creative in your problem solving, because sometimes you don't have the time, if you haven't practiced problem solving, to just find a solution really quickly if time is of the essence. Find out a lot in police work and fire department, emergency services. There's not always a lot of time to think things through all the way and exhaust all options. Sometimes you have to react. And so I'll say that to add to that, individuals who are strong in this particular method do see the bigger picture, and they tend to see new possibilities. So you have a lot of creative innovations that come out for problem solving, and that people like this look for similarities and patterns, because that's how they build on their intuition and their arsenal of tools from their past problems, so that they can project in the future and start solving problems that way. So these people tend to be forward, future oriented individuals. And that's not always a bad thing. That's usually a good thing, right? Veronica, you have any thoughts on that at all? If not, it's okay. Oh, she's on mute. She hit that mute. Are you good?
Mute.
You
I
want me
was
to keep
trying
going?
to get
Oh,
off. So, I think one of the biggest things that we think about when you're an intuitive thinker, just because your gut feeling is something, it doesn't mean that it's wrong or right, because that's your feeling, right? That's your feeling inside. Um, and looking from a person on the outside, and I'm looking at you, I definitely can't see what you're thinking on the inside. So it's just embracing that moment, and I have to give the agreements, with our team here. It's being with that one thinker on the inside, is this right? Is this wrong? Because honestly, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just because it's the inside of how you're feeling. And no one should be able to validate that, because you should be able to validate yourself of how you're feeling in that moment.
absolutely. Absolutely. We always have to remember that we are sitting on different parts of a problem if we are in a problem together. And so it's important that teamwork is not judgmental. So I love that. You were going to say something, Joanie?
Yeah, and just to add to what Veronica was saying, I think the intuitive out of all of the problem solving methods is the most personal one, because it is based off of your perception of what the perceived problem is and where you're at and what you can and can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, this answer might be wrong for Trevor, you know what I mean? But it's right for Jay. It might be similar, to Veronica, but it's a very personal attachment with that, train of thought based off of so many different things that have led you to that understanding.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So now we are at the point where we are at Trevor's forte. We're at Trevor's forte. Logical thinking, the logical thinking problem solving type. Trevor, talk to us about this logical thinking. And like you kind of touched on it in the beginning, but let's kind of iron this out a little bit. Talk to me about the logical thinking approach to problem solving.
Again, these are people that approach it logically. I would say they identify a step. You're generating solutions in your head, and you're following a specific system algorithm of how you do something. And again, that's just me implementing a solution, evaluating outcomes in my head 1,000 times over. Sometimes you can overthink it, but you try to come up with the best solution possible. And this is something that you have time to do. For me, sometimes you don't have that time. Like they said, what stage you're in, sometimes you may not have time to sit there and go through your step process. So
Okay. So I like that. So you're basically ironing this out as like the scientific method where you have all these 5 steps that you always run the issues or the elements of the issues through, and then you set out to explore the possible solutions and their alternates, I'll say. Not the
Yeah.
alternatives, but their alternates.
Yes.
You know what? A lot of these individuals I find they use cause and effect reasoning and the common sense approach, but we know that common sense ain't common.
It ain't common. It ain't common at all.
What we deal with, yeah, this is true. This is true. Can't use it with
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, and men tend to be very adept at this method because
No, you're
they are
right.
able to mentally and emotionally remove themselves from the problem solving process, and a lot of that clouds itself.
Yes,
You're
and
gonna say something, Veronica?
It's called a disconnect. They
Mm.
disconnect
Mm. Mm.
Wait,
from what's
I
going.
wasn't gonna say nothing. I wasn't gonna say nothing.
she chose violence.
I'm out. I'll see y'all later. I'll see y'all next week. I appreciate y'all. I'm busy.
No, wait.
I'm playing. No, I agree. I agree. I'm kidding. I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, here's the thing. Sometimes disconnecting is not a problem.
No.
Sometimes, yeah, Kim says shots are fired.
Officer needs help.
Oh, Emmett's here. Emmett Smith's here. Not the one you're thinking about, but the one that we care about the most. He's our head mentor. Hi, Emmett, Sergeant K. He says, uh-oh, it's hot in here. I think that disconnecting is not a problem. It's not a problem because here's the thing. You have to remove emotion sometimes. Emotion is energy in motion. Sometimes you got to stand still to problem solve. And so, and so to disconnect, Trevor, look, I'm cleaning it up for you. To disconnect.
Brit, don't clean it up. Keep it dirty.
I'm gonna clean it up. Look, I'm responsible here.
On it.
Sometimes disconnecting is okay. Disconnecting from the emotion of it or the overthinking of it is okay because then you can come to at least a template of a solution. Don't play him like that. It's okay to disconnect sometimes, but reconnect when you're done problem solving.
There we go. Reconnect.
It's the reconnect.
With
you see what I'm saying?
Talking.
Lorenzo says interpersonal relationships fail and businesses fail because of poor problem solving. Absolutely. I always when I do consultations for small businesses and things like that, I'm always telling people, what problem are you solving? What problem are you solving? Because sometimes businesses don't know that they have to problem solve. They don't know that they have to pick a problem that a majority of people or a majority of their target audience experiences needs a solution. And that's how they're going to make their money. That's how they're going to make their bottom line. That's how they're going to push forward or expand. So it's very important that businesses and interpersonal relationships, which can run as small businesses, like small businesses, I'll say, fail because of a lack of the ability to problem solve. Now, Emmett says, disconnect is great to get that pause to problem solve. He agrees. So we got to be careful when we start not slanging, because we weren't slanging here. We were sort of not slanging. When we are throwing, love taps, okay. But when we generalize and say, oh, it's a disconnect, and we automatically jump to that's negative, we can always utilize areas of what is generally seen as a negative to bring it back to the middle to say, you know what, let me use this to my advantage. Let me clear the space so that I can effectively communicate or problem solve. So you're good, Trevor. We still love you.
But is he though? No.
Go ahead, Veronica.
I want to join in and why I say disconnect, and I don't say a disconnect in a negative way. I may be sitting with a surgeon and their language is different to me, right? Do I understand when they're talking about the anatomy of the whole body? Absolutely. But then they go into what I want, I need, I. That's where the disconnect comes in. So here's what it does. I'll take myself out for a moment, right? But here's the thing. I have to bring myself back into that conversation so we can solve or get to the common goal, because it might not have been a problem, or maybe it was a problem at some point, but we had a common goal that we both wanted to get to, right? So sometime from walking away for a few moments, and I don't mean physically walking away because that'll never solve the problem. I mean going again and saying, let me take a breath. Let me really listen with that active listening, that mindful listening, remember? Because listening actually solves a lot of problems. And then I say, removing my feelings from it made me realize that the disconnect was important for me so that I can trailblaze back in and say, you know what, doctor, you were pretty correct with that. I agree. Not agreeing because I have to do this, I'm on your bandwagon, but agreeing because we are on two sides of the spectrum and we have to both come to a commonality, right?
Mhm.
So disconnecting, as Brit said, I wholeheartedly agree. Sometimes you disconnect to come back to find that common ground, because disconnect can actually be positive. Because if you're always connecting and you're like on a back and forth, that doesn't solve the problem. So now here we're trying to solve that problem and reconnect with each other. So that disconnect was positive so we can do the reconnect, right?
Yep.
Love you, Trevor.
I love it. Yeah. Big-
That was
And
the
just,
best cleanup. That was the
I was
best cleanup.
gonna
and just to piggyback my girl,
details.
So when it comes down to the whole problem solving method, just personally, what I've used for years and years is Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey's principles of 7 highly effective individuals is like my to go to, because it basically says things like, start with the end in mind. So that's going to check how you talk,
Mm-hmm.
what's the mission, what's the goal, and the other thing is, seek to understand, then be understood. So
Ooh.
which goes into, you got to ego check some things,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Because this is my, and what my girl was saying, I, but that's not really the objective a lot of times, because most things we do in life are from a collective perspective, whether that is, relationships, intimate, whether it's professional, whether it's family, because I can't, I'm not a puppet master, so I can't puppet Trevor to say what I want him to say and do what I want him to do. And I can't do that to Brit either. So it's like keeping the main thing, and really establishing how um, how you go about communicating these things. And that's the cues from all of this kind of tie into those principles.
Absolutely. And Kim says it's hard for her to reconnect, but it is worth it. It's absolutely worth it, Kim. And then she says she loves his book. That's a very good book. It's a very good book to read over and over and over again. Your pages should have dog ears. Presleen says, "Seek to understand, to be understood." So can you say that quote again, Joanie,
Okay,
for the
so
group?
it's seek to understand, then to be understood. So a lot of times, like in our profession, in my profession, civilian law enforcement, I have to, what's going on? What is the issue? This is not about Joanie. It's not about, me problem solving. It's just really me listening to what that challenge necessarily is. And once we agree on the challenge, now I can assert what course that I believe, or that we collectively come in to, so that we can move forward to address that issue. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people are like, oh, it's only about problems. No, what's the overall problem? What are you experiencing? What's the
Mm-hmm.
deficiency? What do
Mm-hmm.
we need to kind of correct, or reinforce and support? And then you're like, okay, well, I can't solve everything, but I can give you this, or I can point you in this direction. You know what I mean? And you're
Mm-hmm.
being understood. And that's, I tell people to say everything with love, respect, and integrity. So that's just me. That's what I do. I don't take it to the
Absolutely.
streets for the
Seek to
people.
understand, then to be understood. It's a sequential thing. Understand first, and then you can put yourself in it to have the tables turned in your favor. An interesting fact about the logical thinking, problem solving types. So people like Trevor, look, I'm over here. I'm just helping him along, because so these individuals tend to be very, very chivalrous because they value equality. Sounds funny. It sounds like, okay, well, they're disconnected from the emotions. How can they be for equality? But that is exactly what somebody who values equality is. They turn off the what's in it for me, for everybody, to bring things back to the middle so that things are equitable. And so these individuals tend to live in equity, and they want to make sure that the solution that they come up with or come to benefits the group. So there's something to be said for the disconnected problem solver. There you go, Trevor. You're welcome again. The bill is in the mail. So
pay the lady.
We've got some new people in the chat. Oh, what's up, Rocket? Rocket's one of our mentors. I'm glad you make it tonight, Rocket. Oh, he's dropping the fire. That's right. Okay.
Pew, 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 pew,
Pew, pew, pew. So the last type, right? The last type of problem solving type or personality type is the social sensitive thinking. So we'll go with Veronica because I haven't asked you really. Do you have any idea, based on the name alone, what this type of thinking or problem solving mindset is? A social sensitive.
Social sensitive. Let's talk about the social sensitive. Reactionary.
Okay.
To me, it's reaction. Depending on what setting they're in, whether they're in a happy setting, a sad setting, it's just like it states itself, the social. And they try to move about how they can, but most times, depending on what their personality is like, it'll shine, it'll come through eventually.
Okay. All right.
So,
Emmett says the name alone gives him a sense of anxiety. And I could see how that would happen. But really, with the social sensitive thinking individual who problem solves, those individuals tend to conduct a subjective analysis about what's going on in the situation. They're not really coming from an objective point of view. They are, how do I feel in this moment about what's going on? So it's, it's the social aspect of things. So anxiety probably does play a role in it. But they do want what's best for everybody in that solution. So they're empathy driven, and they utilize their value systems to solve problems. So it's like, well, what's gonna benefit everybody? What's gonna make people feel good? What's going to move people ahead together? They utilize their value systems as a tool to solve problems, and they think that optimism is what solves issues. And I can't say I disagree. Because this group of people, they tend to have very, very high interpersonal skills. And that is, you can't say that about everybody. Okay. Some people are not in it for the collective. And not to say that's good or bad. No, I'm gonna say it. If you're not considering the collective when you're acting, I'm gonna say that is not optimal. Is that fair? So we have a couple. So Emmett says understood. Diego says, hey fam, welcome Diego, another one of our esteemed mentors. Tess says, social problem solver sounds concerned for all parties involved, like a team player's go-to. Yes, that's exactly what a social sensitive problem solver is. They are the team player. They are what's in it for us, not what's in it for me. And those individuals tend to be the selfless lot, but they tend to get taken advantage of a lot too. Hi, Annika, believe in we. That she says, haha, that's fair. Absolutely. I think that that these 4 types are in all of us. It's almost like love languages. I know we'll talk about that, a little down the road, but in terms of how we move in our spaces, how we think in our spaces, how we feel in our spaces, a lot of times we don't realize that we have a spectrum of tools that we can pull from. And in problem solving, we all have all 4 of these types. But the goal is, anybody know what the goal is?
It's all these dang problems. No.
Oh, wait, we got some people in the comments. They say, so Kim says, I don't like the sound of it. Well, you don't like the sound of what? I don't know which one that one is. Raina says, I can resonate with that. Honey Child says, I think I'm that. I think she's talking about the social sensitive. She says, believe in we. Yeah.
really quickly?
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that the intuitive is an inside thinker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the social sensitive is an outward thinker.
Yes.
So they're reading the room. Case in point, this pandemic has been challenging for lots. So in a situation where you're set to talk about or look at problems on how we move forward coming out of a pandemic, one has to be socially sensitive to, some people came up. Some people have lost family members and loved ones. Some people have seen, economic discourse. So I think what resonates with the social sensitive is being able to read the room, knowing that there's not one solution that fits all or most.
Mm-hmm.
And it's speaking to the diversity and the complexity of those challenges, which is aka like politician verbiage, but it's real, because it's like, your situation is true and authentic to you.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's a piece of it, and we're gonna leave that there, and then we're gonna move on, because there's a million different problems. The issue I see with being social sensitive sometimes is completely different from my boy Trevor, which is logical. And he like, case in point, this what's gonna be, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You know what I mean? It's not as direct. It's a lot of, intake. It's a lot of analyzing, getting a lot of perspectives to kind of, get that essay the best choice answer. But it's just cognizant of what that effect might mean to everybody.
Absolutely. I love that you pointed out that the intuitive is on the inside and that the social sensitive is on the outside. So both of them are like the feeling, they're their emotion, they're the spirit, they're that energy. They're not the nuts and bolts, right? They're the splash of paint. But they just manifest differently. And so when we know that about ourselves, because the goal is just to know which one you are, or which one is strong, which one needs a little help in terms of these skills that you have to problem solve, so that you apply the correct one to the correct situation. And so now the goal for all of this, because I didn't forget the question I asked.
Okay, because I did.
I appreciate the authenticity. That's my job, to bring it, to circle us back. That's what you look. This all comes together. The goal is to balance out the types that you have and use a combination of them to problem solve. That is, so you guys are too funny. So let me ask the chat room, family, what makes problem solving difficult? And we'll wait on this one. What makes problem solving difficult? What makes problem solving difficult? Diego says, bring it back, Brit, bring it back.
Because I was somewhere. I was in a...
What'd you say, Joanie?
I was somewhere. I don't know where the where was, but I was somewhere.
That's all right. I had you. So what makes problem solving difficult, everybody? What makes problem solving difficult? Don't be shy now. What makes problem solving difficult? Annika says, avoiding looking where the problem lies within ourselves. Ooh, that sounds like accountability, child. Yes. Avoiding looking where the problem lies within ourselves. Absolutely. Rocket says laziness and patience. Ooh. So which one makes it difficult? Laziness or the patience, or both?
Having patience, but being lazy.
Oh, got you.
Oh.
Okay. Presleen says, what makes it difficult is your emotions within ourselves. Yes, because emotions are not facts.
Right.
And they move too much. Liz says, not wanting to let go of certain things. Attachment. Ooh, we in church. Liz said, hit me, you saw? Because, you know what, I think I've struggled with attachment, like attaching to certain outcomes, and attaching to things that I don't want to change. Like, so attachment, that will lead you down the road of destruction, okay? And you will not be able to solve nothing. That is perfect. Prince Lee said attachment. Kim says emotions. Yolanda says the fear of being wrong. Come on. That's ego.
Yeah.
That's ego. We wrong more than we're right, y'all. Let me tell you. Rocket said both laziness and patience are make problem solving difficult. Tess says confronting your own truth. Yes, like all of these is reading. It's giving accountability. It's giving egotism. It's giving lack of self-awareness. It's giving all of these things that that crumbles our invisible, fragile pedestals that we've placed ourselves on. Doses of Kara says definitely confronting the issue. Absolutely, confronting the issues or not confronting the issues will definitely make it very, very difficult to problem solve. Annika says emotions are human. It's in the pain and hopelessness of emotions. Whew! Y'all, I don't even have to do nothing. Y'all got this. Like, yes,
Comments
emotions are human. What'd you say? What'd you say?
Comments going crazy.
Comments are on fire. I love it. They are hitting all of it. Because it is the pain and hopelessness of emotions, because that's what blinds us a lot of times. And so if you blind, you can't see a way out. Most of the time, which is why you need help. That's when you end up going, well, we all need therapy. Let's talk about that, but we'll talk about that later. But then, you end up having to have somebody to shine a light for you. Camille says a lack of insight. Yep. A lack of insight will have you blinded from the inside out. Presleen says ego, technically due to knowing the facts but not wanting to come to terms with the problem. Denial. Presleen, that's denial. Y'all are speaking it today. Denial will have you blinded to the fact that there is a problem cognitively. Kim says adopting others' intended outcomes. Liz says people pleasing. Liz says she loves therapy. I do too. Let me tell you, that is the most liberating situation, is being in therapy and coming out. So absolutely, these are all barriers. Presley said, well, I'm in denial. But you know what? The first step is awareness. We can get out of that together. You know what I mean? So just keep in the fight, sis. Keep in the fight. So yeah, some of the expected answers that I had when I was writing curriculum, not having all the facts is a definite barrier to solving problems. Too many possible outcomes to contend with. So now you have a problem of analysis paralysis because you don't know which way to go. Other people's opinions or points of view or biases, and that lends itself to people pleasing. Like I think that was Liz that said that. And then time. Sometimes we don't have the time to really effectively dissect a situation to find our way to a solution.
Preach.
All of that. And you guys all hit that on the nail, but much more eloquently than my little bullet points. I'm about to say bullet holes. That's not what I meant. Bullet points. So now we talked about the types of personalities, right? The types of problem solving types. And we talk about the barriers to problem solving. And we talk about the goal of problem solving, the goal of knowing those types that we fall under. So now we talk about the process. What does that look like? Because it's like, oh yeah, this is fine and dandy. We have this conversation with our new friends over at my legacy house. But what do we do with this new bag of goodies that we've gotten? So what you do is we really break down what the process of problem solving looks like. We identify the problem. And when we do this, you'll see that we are utilizing all 4 types of the problem solving personality or thinking. So we identify the problem, or define it rather, and that's the practical approach, the practical thinking, because we're actually just, there you go. You in your wheelhouse now, Trevor. You are in your wheelhouse. Okay. And then we go into brainstorming possible solutions. So when we brainstorm, we are really bringing, let me stop stuttering. We are really bringing together, especially for teamwork. We're doing this as a team. We're bringing together 4 or 5 or however many collective individuals who are intuitively bringing the ideas they have out onto the table. So that is the intuitive reactive thinking that is at play when we are trying to problem solve. We're brainstorming for possible solutions. Then we determine the pros and the cons of the different courses of action we have we have come to during that brainstorm. And here again, we're back at Trevor's front door with the logical thinking. So we have come to practical by identifying and defining that problem. We've moved into the brainstorming / intuitive reactive thinking so that we can start moving along on this track to problem solving. And then we weigh the pros and cons of all the ideas that we came up with, and we put them in order in terms of instruction on how we go about solving these problems. And that's logical. Then we consider the effect of each alternate solution on the people involved in that particular problem or set of problems, right? And which one do y'all think that is? The social sensitive. And so you've now encapsulated all 4 of the different types of problem-solving personality or thinking types so that you can actually move forward with a full picture of a roster of solutions or possible solutions to any given problem. So now all you have to do is decide on which one will be the most effective given your circumstances, act on that decision, and then what we most forget is to circle back, like Tess says, and evaluate how effective, or if at all, that particular method or solution that we employed was. Now, I will say a lot of people suffer from analysis paralysis, and they never get past the considering of the alternate, how the alternate solutions affect people. They stop there because they're too scared to make a decision to move forward. I've been victim of it plenty of times. My father says, don't give her too many choices. And so we have to understand that, and we can either get an accountability partner, or we can just push ourselves if you happen to have that propensity to kind of push yourself to not be most people, because most people get paralyzed. We don't want that. Mm-hmm. And so I would like to challenge everybody who's in the chat, and you 3 and myself, to try using this particular method. Like really, like for 2 small problems. Don't do it for if it's like a life decision. Don't do that, because that's not what we're here for. We want to make sure that we practice things small, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And so pick 2 problems or 1. This is not really homework. This is just a suggestion. But if you pick a problem that you have in the coming week before we come back here next Monday, I want you to really think about how you are actively solving a particular problem and see if you're utilizing those 4 steps. And I'll put them in the description box of this particular live so that you can follow it. And let us know how it goes. Let us know how it goes. So Liz says baby steps. So do we have anything that we want to add or talk about or just shout out, being as this is our week 1 of our 52-week life skills program? Anything from my mentors that are on the chat today?
If I could just add one thing with this whole process, is just being kind to yourself first and then to others, because that is for me a very important tool as we go through the weekend in implementing some of these new strategies or these identified strategies that we've already had, and trying to polish them up. You know, things are challenging, things are problematic, but it's really about, you know, how we feel about it and what we want to come from it. And I think we save ourselves a great deal of stress, a great deal of heartache, if we can just be kind to ourselves and others as we're facing some of these obstacles that we're chipping away at.
Tess says, yes, give yourself some grace. Absolutely. Anything else, Trevor or Veronica?
Yes, I agree with Joanie. She said here that it starts with, you know, checking your ego at the door. I wholeheartedly agree with that. At times, I've definitely let my ego, you know, take over, and I'm just annoying. So I think that's one of the main points that most people should focus on, is their ego, and having that ability to perceive and just understand the feelings and viewpoints of others, whether it be in business or social settings.
I love it. V, you have anything you want to add before we give my closing?
If you don't take anything away, take away that every problem may not be a problem. So when we learn skills about problem solving and we analyze, we find the barrier, and most times we can reduce the barrier. But is it truly a problem? So I read this in one of my classes, and it said, is this a problem, or do you want to make it a problem?
Ooh,
So
yeah.
why I bring that today is that we deal with a lot of problem solving skills, and we try to reach out and find out where they are, what they are. But a lot of times it's easier said than done. And you can clearly walk away at any point, right? But in within yourself searching, is it a problem for you today? I may not have eaten a day. That might not be a big problem. I could solve it, right? So, how do you solve the problems that you are faced with on a day-to-day basis? There's no wrong or right answer to that, actually. I'm just looking at all the tools that were presented today, and I'm definitely going to use all four of them. I still have some growing to do,
Don't we all?
but problem solving, it's actually, if we have that problem and really want it solved, we got to search deep down inside. Like, is it really a problem? So it's been a great class, and I love you guys. I just say thank you because I've learned so much today.
Well, I appreciate all you guys coming in. I will say that this is week 1 of our 52-week life skills program. It is in conjunction with our e-mentorship programs, our Whole Warriors Collaborative, and our Quality Queens Initiative. All are 52 weeks, and it's a rolling enrollment. Right now, I'm very excited. We just opened up 3 more spots for women, and we have 4 more spots for our men in the Whole Warriors Collaborative. So if you're interested, or you know somebody who could benefit from the mentorship, and the resources that come along with that, definitely send them our profile or tell them just come follow us, and then we'll take care of the rest. But I appreciate you. Camille says the problem isn't always the problem. The problem is often your attitude about the problem. Go be great, everyone. Ooh, I'm going to go ahead and mic drop that for her. And remember, we'll be here next week, Monday at 7, right here, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because we have some people from all over. We have people from Canada. We have people from Florida that are all part of the program. And so I just have to make that known that it's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because we are in Los Angeles. But definitely follow us. We're going to be having content that goes up every week, all week rather. And next week, we're going to be talking about money management. So I'm excited. I know y'all are too. Welcome to Legacy House. Welcome to my Legacy House, where everything starts at home. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.